All right, welcome to 11 Things Church, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the pregame or pre-show antics. We're just having a little fun. This is the podcast for I don't even know what week it is. I just know that I have
It's like week
till school's
5.
over.
It doesn't matter. It's April 22nd.
Okay, I just know I got one more week till school's over, so that's what I'm shooting for right now. So
Yeah.
Basically, we're going to start off with some league news, and really, there's nothing to report outside of Jake Arrieta throws his second no-hitter in 2 years. Last year's was against the Dodgers. This year was against the Reds. So obviously last year's was a little bit more impressive than this year's. Cubs also won that game 16-0, if that means anything to anybody out there. Other than that, there's really, Trevor's story much cooled off and has not been in any news lately, just to get that out of the way. As of right now, I'm watching the Yankees game and the Nats game right now, and there's nothing really going on. Other than that, I don't have nothing. I don't know about you, Paul, but
No, I have about as much as you do. Jake Arrieta, and that is literally the only thing I have written down. That might be the most lopsided game that I've ever seen. A 16-0 no-hitter. That might be the most lopsided, one-sided game I've ever seen. And that's kind of crazy thinking about it. It was a no-hitter and 16 runs. How often do you see both of those, much less in one game? Probably never.
Exactly. And it wasn't really, and to be honest, it really wasn't like a dominant no-hitter either. It wasn't like there was a lot of strikeouts.
He walked 4 people?
I don't know. It was something like that. Like, he walked a lot of people. So it wasn't like he was like – basically what it was is he was he was throwing the pitches where they're supposed to go, and people were flying out, grounding out. He had a couple strikeouts. It wasn't too crazy. I think his against the Dodgers was more dominant than that one, if I can believe correctly.
The Dodgers are just more of a. Let's be honest. The Reds are not an offensively inept team. They're not really an inept team to begin with, but offensively, they're definitely challenge. But the Dodgers, that's impressive and good for him. And throwing a no-hitter, I don't care who it's against, it's impressive. But if you're comparing the Dodgers to the Reds, Dodgers is more impressive.
And I'm also going to bring this subject up in a little while when we go over the best fans in baseball, because you hear every team's broadcast use it. They have the best fans in baseball.
Sure. So
basically, I'm going to get into this Jake Arrieta no-hitter just from a fan standpoint a little bit later, just to hit on some points. But like I said, other than that, between the both of us, I don't think there's really any other league news. Other than my fantasy pick for this week, just to get into that, Bryce Harper is on fire.
I have one quick question for you, and I want a one-word answer and then one sentence to back it up.
Okay.
You are building a team, and your first game is tomorrow. Okay, let me rephrase. Game 7 of the World Series tomorrow. Would you rather have Clayton Kershaw or Jake Arrieta pitching for you?
Kershaw.
Right now, that is.
Kershaw.
And why is that?
Limited left-handed pitchers.
Okay.
And that's the thing is, I'm not trying to take anything away from Jake Arrieta because he's right-handed. I'm right-handed. I'm not taking anything away from that. But when you have a dominant left-handed pitcher like Clayton Kershaw, you really can't. You can't go wrong with either pick. Like, there's no wrong answer here. Except if Clayton Kershaw is in the American League and he's facing the Cardinals, then that's a bad answer because, let's be real, Cardinals just kill Clayton Kershaw. But other than that, you really can't go wrong with either of these options. But yeah, I'd go Clayton Kershaw just for the fact of he's left-handed.
It's a coin flip for me. I don't know. Right now, maybe Arrieta. Right, I don't know. It kind of depends on how I feel that particular day. Clayton Kershaw obviously has the track record, so if you're going off of history, Kershaw, and it's not even close. But man, Jake Arrieta is good right now. That's all I have to say. But anyway, going back to your fantasy pick, who you got?
I'm going to go with complete shocker here. This is going to blow the socks off everybody in whoever watches Major League Baseball. Because I'm going with Bryce Harper. Dude is on a complete tear. Like, you shouldn't even throw a ball anywhere near the strike zone.
He's flying under the radar right now.
Yeah, no, I don't think anybody knows who he is. I mean, let's be real.
That's the first time I've ever heard of him.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know what he's eating or what he's drinking, but I know I want a part of that because if I could hit home runs in softball,
that's for sure.
Yeah, because if I can hit home runs in softball like he's hitting them in baseball, I want a part of that.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, if he's on your team, good for you. And I wish he was on my team, but he's not. So, what am I going to do about it? My player this week is Jared Saltalamacchia. I can never say that name right. He's a catcher for the Tigers right now. Going into Thursday, he's actually having a really good start to the year. He's batting .313 with 5 home runs and 14 RBIs, which for a catcher, if you can get production from the catcher position in your fantasy league, that's really good. And last time I checked, he was only owned in 52% of Yahoo leagues. So if you're in a Yahoo league, very likely he's available. So you might want to play the hot hand and go pick him up. But pop quiz for you. Can you spell Saltalamacchia for me?
No.
I'm not gonna try either.
I watch more baseball than probably anybody in the world, and I still can't spell his name right.
What I always find funny is
but that's about it.
Well, what I always find funny is, so they have the names on the back of the jerseys, right? But his like, it's so long you can't just put it there. It has to like arch around his number because it's like 13 letters or whatever, and it's like I think it's like the longest last name in the league, and yeah, and his last name has to go over his numbers basically.
Yeah, you know what also was a cool fact when I found this out, I don't know how years ago it was, but Ichiro Suzuki is the only player in the major leagues to ever have his first name on the back of his jersey.
Really? Huh.
Like if you look at it, it just says Ichiro. It doesn't say Suzuki.
And he's the only one that like goes on a first name basis like that. I mean, when I say Bryce, we all know we're talking about Bryce Harper, but like Ichiro, I'd be willing to bet that a lot of people don't even know his last name.
That's what I was going to say. Because he's
just so famous and he's so good.
Exactly. I mean, like, okay, so I was just watching now on TV. It was Barry Bonds was hitting. When you reference Barry Bonds, people usually just say Bonds.
Right.
Well, and you're talking about baseball. I mean, obviously there's the super spy James Bond, but, but, I mean, yeah, he's really, I mean, and it was a long time ago. I didn't just figure this out yesterday, so don't, blow up the Facebook and Twitter pages saying, oh, you're an idiot, you just figured that out. But, no, it was a couple years ago, and I was like, man, I didn't, realize that. But, yeah, I don't know if he's the only one. He's the only one that I know
off the
of.
top of my head.
Yeah, he's the only one that I know of that goes by first name, and that's it. And actually, quick question for you, because I want to get into it just because I see it on TV. And then we'll shoot right into Cardinal news. Do you think, when it's all said and done, Barry Bonds will be in the Hall of Fame?
Do I think, or like, are you saying that would I put him in if I was voting, or do I think he will be in the Hall of Fame?
Give me both. I want to hear both.
My first reaction is no, and that was my opinion for a very long time. And then I read something by Derek Gould from the Cardinals, the Post-Dispatch, and he says that, and he thinks that they should be in the Hall of Fame, but that there should be an asterisk next to his name. And I agree with that because I think it's stupid to not put people like that in, because even if he took steroids, 63 home runs or whatever he has. 62, okay.
I know.
Close enough. That steroids doesn't do that. I mean, it helps you along the way, but that does not produce 762 home runs. You have to be amazingly and tremendously talented to even come close to that. I think he's a jerk, personally. I don't think he's a good guy. I will say that. But put him in the Hall of Fame, I guess. Make him and all these other steroid users have their own exhibit, because I think it's a part of history, and excluding it would be bad because you're sort of presenting what you want to present. You need to present both the good parts and the bad parts of history. So put him in, put Roger Clemens in, put all those jackknobs in, but tell everybody, tell the world what they did. And that's, they cheated. And I know that there's no evidence or, for sure solid evidence that Bonds cheated, but let's be honest with ourselves. He probably did.
And that's, I got a couple points on it, basically, that usually contradict themselves. I'm a person playing baseball, and I didn't grow up in a family where, like, my dad was the coach, and he pushed me to this crazy level that I had to be the greatest ever. I didn't grow up in a family where my parents cared more about my baseball career than they did as me as a student in the classroom. I took being a student athlete it was very important to me to be able to perform in the classroom, to where I actually I quit baseball for 2 years to make sure that I could perform in the classroom before I decided to play baseball. And honestly,
that's good for you because no one does that anymore.
Well, and honestly, I kind of regret it, but I kind of don't. I miss baseball a lot. But and if you guys don't notice, I'm going to be playing slow pitch softball. I'm going to continue, trying to get into that. But I hate anybody. I shouldn't say hate. I don't know what's the word here.
Dislike?
Not even that. It's more of a... I exclude you from... Annoying is a great word. I get annoyed from people who take steroids. Because the thing for me is you're already up in the highest level that you can go. You can't go any higher. Why would you try to take something to get you to that? And like you said, and this is what contradicts that point. When you take steroids, it doesn't make you... It doesn't go, pop this pill and the bat will magically move to the ball and you'll hit a home run.
It's not like steroids makes you see the ball better, or because hitting's all hand-eye coordination basically.
But it does help in the power. But I'm just going to go ahead and guess that the people that we're talking about, like the Roger Clemens, I'm going to go ahead and guess that he was throwing a fastball like 94, 95 without the steroids, so he was okay. Mark McGwire was hitting home runs before. Barry Bonds, even though he never did it, we all can speculate that he did, but he was hitting home runs. Did it. Yeah, he was hitting home runs way before, So it's almost more as if people take him to put on that home run derby kind of show. Barry Bonds, and I'll tell you this, like I told you, I get annoyed when people take steroids. I really do. It just bugs me to no end. But I'll tell you this, I have never been in awe of another player except for Barry Bonds. Sure. I'm a big guy. I'm a big guy myself. Not as big as Barry Bonds. There's a difference. I'm fat. He's ripped. But I can't get over the fact of how hard he's hitting this ball. Just how at ease his swing is. Just almost how...
So steroids does not do that.
Exactly. But it's almost he's just perfect. Like Barry Bonds, if you think of a perfect baseball player, Barry Bonds has got to be up at the top. He's got to be close. Defense is shaky, but when you got a guy you can almost...
Offense, yeah, obviously. But overall, I don't agree because if you're one of the greatest of all time, you need to have all the tools. And I don't think he had, early on he had some speed, but when he was really famous at hitting all the home runs, he didn't have all that much speed. And his defense was – it was like watching Matt Holliday, which is not the most graceful thing in the world. But one of the greatest hitters of all time? Oh, no doubt about it. But
Exactly. So, and that's the thing is, here's what I would say. Roger Clemens went to court and I think he was proved innocent of steroids.
I don't know exactly. That whole fiasco back in, I think, 05 or 06 where they testified before Congress, him and, Rafael Palmeiro just lying to Congress. That was great.
No. Roger Clemens just went, a couple years ago by himself.
Did he really?
Yeah, I'm almost positive because he tried to come back a couple years ago.
Did he really?
I believe so. It was all over the TV. I don't know how many years ago it was, but I thought it was fairly recent.
Wow. Okay, that's
Anyway,
interesting.
Roger Clemens was never proved that he did it. Neither was Barry Bonds. I believe that the people who have not been proven that they've done it should be in the Hall of Fame. Now, Mark McGwire has admitted to doing it. I don't believe he should be in.
Okay.
The thing is that there's probably people in the Hall of Fame now that have never been even that have done it, but never have even had anything next to them. And that's the thing that.
My last question to you on this topic is this: so you don't want to include steroid users or some steroid users. That's fine. I get that, and I agree with you for the most part. But then what do you do about the guys like, I don't know any names off the top of my head, but like, back in like the early 1900s that would like beat their wives and assault and all, more legal stuff than baseball stuff. Do you include those people too?
No.
Because I think if you include one, you have to include them all, but then you just tell everybody what they did wrong.
Here's the thing. You have little kids that look up to you every single day, that want to be like you every day. And if you do anything against the law, proven against the law, you shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. I feel like you've ruined. You can continue. If you smacked your wife but didn't go to jail and you continue playing, I'm not condoning smacking your wife, but that's fine. Go about your merry way. But I would tell him right then and there that you're not going to the Hall of Fame. The amount of people that look up to baseball players is crazy. I've looked up to many in my life. It's ridiculous. I don't anymore. I've grown up, and I don't. None of them are my heroes anymore. To be honest, I mean, except for the reliever for the Cardinals, Mitch Harris, just because he was in the military. He started another career. I mean, but other than that, no. If you break the law, you shouldn't be in. And that's how I'll end this segment. I just feel like, you guys let us know. I mean, you guys know where to hit us up at. No direct messages, like we said before, just on the page. But let's get into some Cardinal news because it's kind of been a weird week for Cardinals fans.
It really has. I just want to touch on the Cubs series. We're going to be going basically Cardinals-Cubs from here on out for the next 15, 20 minutes. But on the field stuff, like I said in the Padres preview, I think they got punked by the Cubs. The pitching the first two games was okay. It was actually fairly decent. But the defense is just so terrible, and the offense. I mean, they made those two guys, Lackey and Hendricks or Hamill or whoever it was.
It was Hamill for the second game.
Yeah. They made those guys look like Cy Young. Now, I know John Lackey is good. We saw him with the Cardinals. We know he's good. I'm not surprised that they lost to John Lackey. But, man, game two, they made him look like, Cy Young. And they had so many opportunities to bring in runs, and they probably should have won game two. And they didn't. I mean, when you're playing good teams, great teams, I'd say, especially with the Cubs, and considering that's your rival, when you have people on base, you need to bring them home. Because we all know how good the Cubs are, and their offense is very good. But I have a stat written down that in the first two games, they left 15 men on base. That's a lot. You need to bring the runners home when they're on base. And the pitching was decent, but the defense was just deplorable.
Sorry, we were talking about offensive catchers earlier, and I just my catcher in one of my leagues just hit a home run. I'm sorry. But yeah, I can't. I don't know. I'm gonna start it off like this. This type of year, this year itself, is a great year for St. Louis sports. except for the Rams leaving. Other than that, is you have the Blues, who are, with the loss last night, are still up 3-2, and you have the Cardinals, who have been proven postseason teams, like year after year. It doesn't matter how they start. That's why when I heard people get all in a fuss about them starting 0-3, is you have 5 or more years of postseason runs. Why are you worried? And that's what I still am, because I still hear people, the Cubs are now, with that series, the Cubs are taking over the Central. You play a team for the first time. The Cubs added some major pieces.
Let me say one quick point. The Cardinals and Cubs played 19 times this year. That's a lot.
Exactly. But and you guys think, so the Cubs went on that crazy run last year, and congrats to them. And I'll get into more of this when we get on the fans thing. But, they get on that run last year. What pieces did they add to this year? You got Ben Zobrist, who's by far probably Gold Glove second baseman, who could be your Gold Glove second baseman. Chris Bryant's up for the entire year. He missed like 2 weeks last year, but he's up for the entire year this year. You got Hayward, who's one of probably the best defensive outfielders in the league.
And he proved it against the Cardinals.
Exactly. They signed John Lackey, who, in my mind, had figured out to throw last postseason and is doing it this year. So
he's a horse.
Congrats to him. And you have another year of Anthony Rizzo, who's done nothing but demolish a baseball, and Addison Russell, who's a young stud shortstop that any team would want. And that's what I'm saying, is fans got all mad because Jason Hayward left. Okay, I can understand that. You're very passionate fans. I am a very passionate fan too, and at first I wanted the Cardinals to go after him. But was that kind of defense with less offense worth the $22 million a year? Like, he was a good fit for the Cubs. He really wasn't a good fit for the Cardinals. That's what people don't understand.
Piscotty, average defense. And if he's at his peak, he can be about as good as Hayward is offensively, I think.
Exactly, as
you said, the $22 million difference or whatever that was isn't worth it. I agree.
Exactly, and that's what I've been trying to tell people is you lose some and you win some and you lose some. Okay, the Cardinals have their core players most of them are on their way out, but you have these next players coming in. That's what's so cool, because I was kind of getting worried about it last year too, and I was like, man, I'm gonna watch the Cardinals one of these days and not know any of these people. What they do is that if you watch a team carefully, they ease these players in. I bet you right now you could ask several Cubs fans if Anthony Rizzo was drafted by the Cubs and what round it was, and they would think he was drafted by the Cubs, because it's not true.
No, yeah,
like,
you're right.
That's the thing is, you guys don't even know who they've drafted. Like, the Cubs are a great team. Jason Hayward made the right decision to go to the Cubs. You play 19 times. Don't let this one go to your head. Next time you'll be ready. You'll have to be. That's what it's going to have to be. You have to be ready for these teams.
I will say this about the Cardinals and what I don't like about this whole season so far. Small sample size. They're going to play the Pirates and the Cubs a lot more, and they're going to win some more games. But they're 1-5 against them. Pirates 0-3. Obviously, to start the season. Cubs, they lost 2-1. They need to be able to beat the teams in their own division, excluding the Reds and the Brewers, because we all know that they're trash this year. But if they have any chance of getting the division or even a wild card, they need to beat those two teams. And that goes for the Cubs beating the Cardinals and the Pirates, and that goes for the Pirates beating the Cubs and the Cardinals. Whoever comes out of that group with the best record against those other two teams, that's the team that's going to win the division, in my opinion.
Exactly. And that's what's – I'll be honest with you, I'm not worried about if the Cardinals get into – if they win the division, if they win the wild card. I don't care, because they're a proven postseason team. If
they're
you're
the most
a Pirates
proven team
fan,
in sports, honestly.
if you're a Pirates fan, you should be worried because you haven't won a wild card game yet. Well, with the new,
they can't win the division.
Exactly, with the new way that things are running, you haven't won one yet. I don't know if they've won in the past. I'm not a Pirates fan.
In fairness, they've gotten pretty unlucky when it comes to winning the division.
Exactly. But and here's the thing: is they're taking a play out of the Oakland A's book from a couple years ago. If you ever watched the movie Moneyball, I was asking myself this question when the season started. I'm like, John Jaso, he wasn't even that good. The guy gets on base. You have your first baseman as your leadoff guy. Do you understand what that means? Like, your first baseman, who's supposed to be your power hitter, is your leadoff guy.
Base. Yeah.
Which is how allowed them to move Andrew McCutchen down in the lineup, which is genius. Super smart. But that's what I'm saying, is you guys are looking at one picture. You guys are watching the final score of the games and not looking to see what's actually going on. That's what we're trying to convey to you guys, is you have to look deeper, look at what's going on, pay attention to the small details, and you'll figure out things are okay. Like, you're fine. You played the teams both once already. You've seen what they have. They're not going to give you anything different. I mean, you haven't faced Jake Arrieta or John Lester, but the Cardinals are proven to beat aces. They've always done it, and they probably always will. You've seen what they can offer. Next time, you just have to go out and beat them. You have to be the best team. The team that scores the most runs wins. That's what my high school coach always told us.
So, I want to go to more off the field right now. We had discussed this last week. And I also want to get to your thing about Kenny Vargas. You had mentioned him last week, so we'll get to that first, actually, so we can get to the Cardinals-Cubs. But you had mentioned last week that the Cardinals, if the whole first baseman thing doesn't really work out, they should go out and get Kenny Vargas. And we were briefly discussing it. He's young; he's only 25, and you compare him to David Ortiz. He either hits a home run and he could hit 40 of them in a season, but he could also have 200 strikeouts.
I take a lot of value from a guy who's watched baseball for, I don't know how many years it's been. It's been a while. And I've watched a lot of baseball. I take a lot of value in left-handed pitchers and switch-hitting players. Kenny Vargas is a switch-hitting first baseman, who a lot of people have named him Little Poppy. The reason being, like you said, he hits home runs or he strikes out. Okay. People be like, oh, why would you want somebody that strikes out? Okay. The Cardinals don't hit many home runs as it is.
They are home run handicapped, as I like to call them.
Exactly. Matt Holliday right now is on a tear, but he'll cool off. It always happens. He'll cool off. So he's not going to hit 50 home runs this year. So everybody chill out. But Kenny Vargas could very well hit 40, 45 home runs in a season. He's got that kind of power. And he hit most of his home runs in Minnesota. Do you know how big that ballpark is?
Huge.
It's fucking huge. It's ginormous. If you need offensive help and you want somebody who's fairly cheap, the Twins have given him chances and he hasn't done nothing. I say
sometimes a change of scenery helps. Look at Jeremy Hazelbaker.
Exactly. I think I really don't want to jump off the bandwagon, but it's getting to that point where Matt Adams is a useless bench player. Yes, he hit a home run the other day, but even a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and again.
Yep.
He's almost becoming useless. If you're not going to use him, you need to trade him. Matt Adams will probably never be a 30-30 guy or a 30-100 guy. I mean, just because he's really not made to hit home runs. If you watch his swing, he hits singles and doubles. He doesn't hit a lot of home runs. It's just not who he is, and that's okay.
The Cardinals beat home runs.
Exactly, and that's okay. I'm not taking anything away from Matt Adams because God knows he made it farther than I will ever make it. But I just think home runs, if you need them and you need them quick, Kenny Vargas isn't a bad idea.
Fair enough. Good points. Good points are made all around. Finally, in the last, we got about 6, 7 minutes. I I want to get to the whole fiasco that is the Cardinals fans and the media calling us and themselves the best fans in baseball. I don't like it, but I want to get your thoughts first.
It's kind of an overused term, to be honest with you, because if you listen to
it's been used. I think, as far as I can remember, it's been used since at least 2010.
If you listen to any broadcast of any baseball team, they're going to tell you.
Good point.
They're going to tell you they have the best fans in baseball. Okay.
No, yeah, and it's funny because even the sucky teams do that. If you go to Milwaukee, they'll say the same things. And sorry, Brewers fans, your team is not good, and
you don't show up to the ballpark.
I don't think anything makes you stand out to be the best fans in baseball. Sorry. Too bad.
Well, I mean, all 5 of them that show up to the ballpark, they might be the best. I mean, you never know. I mean, I don't know them personally. They might
that's
be.
5 fans in baseball, sure.
But that's the thing is I don't think that there will ever be. You could never judge it. Is the thing. Like you could never judge the best fans in baseball. I don't care how many.
That's a good point. Yeah.
If the Cubs
best fans in baseball, great. According to whom? The local media? Oh, they're not biased.
Exactly. If you walk around St. Louis, let's say Cubs come to town, like they just were. You walk around downtown around Ballpark Village, you're going to see a lot of red. It's Busch Stadium's right next door. Cardinals play there if you didn't know.
Yeah.
But you're going to see Cubs fans too. Like, I'll tell you this. Like I told you guys many times, I work at a local sporting goods store. There is just as many Cubs fans that come into our store as there are Cardinal fans. I don't care who it is. Okay, White Sox, I don't know if they have any fans. I've never met one true White Sox fan, ever. I don't think I have. But, I mean, there's no best fans in baseball. There's
a lot of good fan bases, but there's not the best, no.
Exactly. They've ranked them before, too, and the Cardinals, I don't know. Cardinals even been ranked the best baseball city in America.
Whatever that means.
I feel like that's completely false because I know from my personal experience of going to the Busch Stadium, I definitely don't stick around downtown after the game. I go to my car and I leave. No. I don't stick around Busch Stadium after the game. I've walked through Ballpark Village, but other than that, I really haven't done anything. It's time to get in the car and go home. Pick up some food on the way home. Just don't get out of the car until you get into the driveway. Chicago, on the other hand, is a nice place. You can walk around downtown. You can meet people. You can talk to people. But it's still Chicago. Like, you're talking about a murder capital of the United
country.
States. Yeah. Like, I don't care where you're going. There's always something wrong with where they are. Except for, like you said, the Brewers. I don't even know if they even have a stadium that's even near houses. It's probably in the middle of a field somewhere. But there's no way to judge it. There's no way you can prove to me that one team has the best fans in baseball because they all are different. I think
part of this comes from our sense of entitledness because of how much we've been winning. That it was like, oh yeah, we show up in droves at every Cardinals game. Well, that's because they're good. I guarantee you, what's a small market? Tampa Bay is really a bad stadium, not from what I've heard, not in a great part of town. But I guarantee you, if they've been winning consistently for 15, 20 years straight, their fans would show up in droves and they'd be just as popular as the Cardinals are.
And that's too. I love Tropicana Field. I do. I think it's one of the coolest ones.
That's a whole different discussion. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it just annoys me how there's a sense of entitledness among Cardinals fans, and I don't need to explain that. But I just get this feeling that just because we've been successful for so long, that automatically makes us the best fans, and that's not true. I want to touch on this real quickly. I was in Chicago last summer for a little less than about 3 or 4 days, or 4 or 5 days, something like that, whatever. And I went to 2 White Sox games and 2 Cubs games, and it was a blast. It was White Sox versus crap. I forget who it was against, but and then it was Cubs-Cardinals. White Sox fans, yeah, you're right. They're few and far between.
I've never met a real Cub or White Sox fan. I will.
But Cubs-Cardinals, oh my gosh, it was a blast. And Cubs fans, I don't like the Cubs, but their fans are awesome, honestly. The fact that they support that team after 108 years of losing, I think goes to show that they have one of the better fan bases in the league. Notice I didn't say best, one of the better fan bases in the league. And it was so much fun, man. I think they have a respect for the Cardinals down deep. They're not going to admit that because of the rivalry. But it was so much fun. Going to a game at Wrigley Field was honestly one of the better experiences that I've encountered in baseball. And it was awesome. White Sox, sorry guys, I wasn't a huge fan. Ballpark's kind of boring. Not many fans. And I just looked it up. They were playing the Orioles. But yeah, not many fans. Kind of boring.
It was,
but Cubs was a
blast. It was
it was a baseball game and it was fun. But comparing it to the Cubs, oh man, there's just no comparison.
And that's the thing that I was, you listen to Cardinal fans before the season started. They're like, "Oh man, the Cubs are gonna be good. This is bad. This is gonna be no. It's good. Like, do you understand? Do you understand what you just told me? You want the Cardinals? Okay, you know why baseball is not fun? Why no one wants to watch it? Because it's boring. I watch baseball all day, every day. I'm getting ready to watch a game now. Like, I watch it every day. At some point in time throughout the day, every day. It's boring. And you know why? Because the games they show on TV are games where the good team beats the living shit out of a bad team. It's what happens. Cubs-Reds, for instance, 16-0. Do you understand that? Like,
who cares? Yeah. I dropped the 4th inning.
Like, good night. Like, for real. This makes the thing fun. I love games. I want it to be a home run show where both teams are just whacking balls out of the park over and over and over again. Or I want it to be where the pitcher has 98 pitches in the 9th inning and there's still not a run scored.
Yep.
That's what I want. Yep. I want to sit on the edge of my seat the entire game. I want bat flips. There was some dude that just hopped the fence in Cincinnati the other night and was celebrating with Jake Arrieta and the whole team.
That was good.
Like, this is what baseball is going to be. It is super exciting. Bat flips are going to be a thing. I can't wait. Unless they get super crazy and people start getting hit with bats because people are being stupid. But it makes the game fun. The Cubs are good again. It's going to be great.
It's going to be frustrating, but it's going to be fun.
Exactly. I want to throw my TV, but it's going to be fun. At the end of the season, when it's all said and done, even if the Cardinals don't make the playoffs, and God forbid I just said that, but if they don't make the playoffs, it still is going to be a fun season. There's going to be heartbreak, but there's going to be triumphs too. Like, that's what makes a rivalry fun. You're going to lose some against your rival, and you're going to win some, but the wins mean way more than the losses.
Yep. I'm going to grill you up here for just 1 second. I'm going to ask you one question to sort of test this.
Ooh, is it barbecue? I like grills. Barbecue?
If the Cardinals don't make the playoffs and the Cubs do, would you root for the Cubs?
Are the Pirates in?
Sure. We'll say the Cubs win the division and the Pirates get a wild card.
Do the Pirates win the wild card?
Sure. I mean, I think they're better than the Dodgers. I think they're better than the Mets. I think the Giants and the Nationals will win the division. But yeah, we'll say that the Pirates win the wild card game and face the Cubs, who presumably have the best record.
I would cheer both, to be honest with you, until one of them's gone, or both of them are gone, I guess. Because if the way I look at it is, if the Cardinals don't win it, I want someone else in the NL Central to win it. Unless the Red Sox are in the World Series, then I want my second favorite team is the Red Sox, so I want them to win it. But if it's not the Cardinals, I want somebody in that Central to take home the trophy. Because overall, I want the NL Central to be the best division in baseball, and so far, to the regular season, it's proved to be that. Now we need to prove it in the postseason.
I agree with you up to the point if the Cubs, I would root for the Cubs. I don't like saying that. If they were in the playoffs, say they got to the World Series. Oh, that'd be scary. And they were playing the Yankees, the Red Sox. Sorry, I don't like the Red Sox.
I see how it is. You're probably a White Sox fan, aren't you? Deep down inside.
No, like I said, the White Sox are boring as hell. I don't know. I'm good. If they were playing those two teams, I'd root for the Cubs. If there was like an underdog-ish type team from the American League, I don't know, pick a team. I'd probably root for them just because it would take so much will for me to root for the Cubs. I don't know if I could do it. If they're playing the Yankees or the Red Sox, go Cubs.
Obviously we hadn't started the show yet, but last year when the Cubs were in the playoffs, when they beat the Cardinals, I put a post on my Facebook saying, congrats to the Cardinals on a good season. And then I said I'm going to root for the Cubs. And the reason I say that is because with the whole thing, back to the best fans of baseball, I'm not, by all means, do I get frustrated and want to say things about players? Sure. If you're a passionate baseball fan, you want to. I am a fan of the Cardinals, but overall I'm a fan of baseball. Whatever makes it fun is what's best for baseball. If that's the Cubs and Anthony Rizzo, if that's Rizzo, basically, Brian and Rizzo going out and hitting, a couple home runs each game, and that's what makes it fun, and people are cheering, and you get those goosebumps running all over you, then that's what I want to see. I want the game to be fun. If the Cardinals are out, make the game fun. That's what I want.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'd have to take a social media absence. If the Cubs got to the World Series, I would probably blow my brains out if I saw everyone freaking out on Twitter. So I'd definitely be off social media for a while, but it would be fun to see them win the World Series. I will say that. Do I want them to? No, because I want the Cardinals to win the World Series, of course. But part of me thinks, oh, man, that would be fun to watch. Chicago would go bonkers.
And I was playing PlayStation last night with one of my buddies, who's actually a loyal fan of the show too. Shout
out to him.
We were talking about the Blues game, and the place was going crazy, going nuts, and the Blues they tied it. Like they were down 3-1 and tied it, and we kept sitting there thinking, we're like, man, if the Blues come back and wins this St. Louis is gonna be shut down tomorrow. That's the thing, is if the Cubs win the World Series this year or next year, Chicago, except for everybody shooting everybody, but, Chicago's going to be shut down. I bet you there will not be one person working the day after Chicago wins. I don't blame them. That's what makes baseball fun. That's what these fans don't understand, is you want your team to win, and after that you're just like, nope, done. You have to make baseball fun. Why do you think someone invented the game wiffle ball? It's baseball, just fun.
Well, why do you think Bryce Harper was wearing the hat that said make baseball fun again?
Exactly. Bryce Harper is taking all the attention on him, and the rest of his team is skyrocketing and is doing everything they need to do. And
that's how it I don't mean.
I want to stop there because I could go on for days about this. Yeah, do
you have I don't have anything yet thought of, but do you have any good discussion for next week? We can think about it.
No, not really. Usually I kind of hint at that at the preview. So if you guys watch this, usually I hint at the preview. There's really nothing super serious going on. Here's what I would say: if you guys watch baseball, if you noticed, I didn't even pick the Astros to get in the wild card. and so far
Yeah, I
the Astros are
did.
playing like dumb. They're
Yeah.
playing like dumb.
I'm looking pretty stupid right about now.
I'm not trying to prove my point, but one of my other buddies who watches baseball, he's actually a Braves fan, gave me crap about it, and I was kind of like, man, I did kind of, deep the Astros a little bit, but just watch them, guys. Just that's what I want everybody to realize is you got to look at the finer details. I'm not saying the Astros won't make it. Every team starts out either really good or really bad, but watch those guys. We'll talk about. I think I'm actually want to hit on that a little bit next week. Just kind of just realize what our predictions were and just kind of hit on a couple of those teams and stuff like that. But other than that,
I was just looking at mine and yeah.
I really have nothing other than that. Is just we might hit on that a little bit next week. But yeah, I mean, this week we kind of shot it. Nothing too crazy. I don't even have notes down, to be honest with you. I just freeballed this one just right off the top of the dome.
Well, I wouldn't have known. That was nice flow. Yeah, I got nothing too. The Cardinals this next week are at the Padres and at the Diamondbacks, and then they come home for the Nationals next. Until then, ta-ta for now. We will see you on the previews.
See you guys.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Watch your Cardinals this weekend, ladies and gentlemen.
And go Blues.
Thank
you.
Go
Blues.